Tonight, MPP accused NDC General Secretary Johnson Ketia of facilitating the registration of more than 60 Ivorians onto the voters' register in just ended EC exercise.
The security agencies, particularly the immigration, was alerted. Realized that 66 Ivorians have managed to cross with the help of Ketia and his party.
We tell you why the MPP is demanding an apology from former President John Mahama.
We in the MPP expect him to go further to apologize to this nation.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Gassim Cement, the nation building Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready with the highly controversial and divisive voter registration exercise now over. Both the opposition NDC and the governing MPP are beginning to take stock. In the last few hours, the MPP has been addressing a news conference following the Electoral Commission's mop-up exercise, which ended yesterday. They claim to have evidence that implicates the NDC General Secretary, Johnson Ketia, in a conspiracy to facilitate the registration of more than 60 Ivorians onto the voter register for this year's elections. Now, listen to the MPP General Secretary, John Bodu.
We saw Ketia in Banda constituency insisting that with a truckload, and just as they did to you, the media people, these of them to even ban them, they couldn't ban them. They just got a cab truck and loaded them into it. And was insisting, and intimidating, and to some extent even insulting the police. This is what he did. By insisting that these people must be allowed to vote. Because they were coming in batches. Yes, insisting that people who are not qualified, who are not citizens, who may not be residents or ordinary residents in the polling station they want to register, should be allowed to register. Unfortunately for him, as they finish registering and they are going with their Kia truck, one of the child got burst. And the security agencies, particularly the immigration, was alerted. Realized that 66 Ivorians have managed to cross with the help of Ketia and his party to register to vote in our upcoming elections in December. And sometimes you ask yourself, the electoral officials, if someone comes and says, my name is Kwame Kobna, some of them Kwame Kobna, Yao Damu, some of them Kwame Yao. This is what happened. And this is what, if our agents or security agents try to challenge, the NDC creates an impression these are others.
That is the General Secretary of the NPP there, John Bodu. General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Ketia, is on the line with me. Mr. Ketia, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
You're welcome, my brother.
You heard the allegations yourself. What do you make of them?
Oh, I have long had a policy of not engaging people who are bipolar. And but for your insistence, I will not be responding to anything that my brother John Bodu will be saying, because it is very, very clear that he's displaying the symptoms of a bipolar personality. The reason being that NDC team actually intercepted the Ivorians, prevented them from registering, and they were going back. The NDC team was planning to even burn down the foreign registered vehicle, which was carrying the Ivorians. into an MPP stronghold called Kabronu for registration. So they succeeded in preventing them from registering. But on their way back, they were with the MPP regional chairman and the candidate Bill Dankwa, who now ordered them to come back and came to the registration center in Kabronu and insisted that they be registered. And there were 68 of them. They were all challenged by NC party agents. And in spite of the challenge, the NPP insisted and got all their voter ID cards for them to return back to Cote d'Ivoire. So the NDC actually reported the matter at the police station. It is in the police diary, and proceeded to report the matter to immigration. It was from the insistence of the NDC that these people were arrested at the border, and they were filmed, and they were all filmed with their two ID cards, the Ghana ID card and the card identity from Cote d'Ivoire. And so it is a case we are pursuing. So I'm surprised that somebody like Jombodu will be misled into addressing a press conference, alleged that I have gone to Cote d'Ivoire to bring people to register. What is wrong with him? Please, he must be sent to psychiatric hospital as early as possible for testing. There must be something really, really wrong with Jombodu. Otherwise, he will not be making such allegations. When you have been, all the documents are there, all the challenges are there, having been filed by ND agents. Would I be a mad person to bring people from Cote d'Ivoire and then ask my agents to also challenge them? What is wrong with him? If he has not gone to Banda, then he has allowed himself to be addressed by mad people.
Which police station was the report filed?
You call and ask. The matter has been lodged at Banda Police Station, the district police office, by NDC people. And our NDC boys were attempting to ban the foreign registered vehicle because they didn't understand why, when the government claims the borders are closed, how does a foreign registered vehicle cross from Ivory Coast and then tell foreigners to come and register with the names Kofi, Yao Kofi, and all that? And then when they were turned back, the NPP leadership came and ordered the Electoral Commission people to register them. And upon the challenges that have been filed against them, the NPP managed to get all the ID cards for them.
So your counterclaim is that it's actually the NPP that facilitated their
registration. They are doing that. So I'm surprised that if Jombodu is in his right senses, he will not come and sit on television and be claiming that these are people who were sent by Atedu Ketia. From where? Why would I bring people and cause my agents to challenge them? Please, I want Joy FM to pursue this story and expose the lunacy in our politics and expose the lunatics who are parading as general secretaries in this country.
And you can bet is the reason I was asking the specific the police station. We're going to follow up on this. Mr. Bodu,
do follow up and then follow up with the Electoral Commission and get all the challenges that have been filed against the CCS people. And you will find out that these are all challenges filed by NDC people against the Ivorians.
The Electoral Commission has a statement on this. I want to quickly, it's a brief statement. I want to read it to you and get a quick reaction to this. And this is from the Electoral. It says, the attention of the Electoral Commission has been drawn to a video produced and shown on UTV depicting a number of Ivorian nationals alleged to have registered during the ongoing voter registration exercise. Our initial investigation reveals that the said registration occurred in Banda, Kabronu, in the border region,
which is the stronghold of MPP.
Okay, I want to read on. It says, as a commission determined to compile a register which reflects eligible Ghanaians only, we take this matter very seriously. The commission has launched a full-scale investigation into the matter and will not shield any staff, permanent or temporary, found to have been involved in the alleged illegal registration of foreign nationals. The Commission will use all legal means available to it to ensure that the names of all ineligible persons are removed from Ghana's voter register. We call on the security agencies to collaborate with the Commission in this regard. Meanwhile, the Commission entreats all well-meaning Ghanaians to report illegal and unauthorized activities of any EC official to the Commission and the security agencies. Your reaction to this?
Very well. I expect the Commission to take action against the electoral officers who allow these people to register in the first place and who haven't been challenged by NDC agents, who still release the voter ID cards for the 66 Ivorians. But for our insistence, the immigration people, if they had not intercepted the vehicle and they had allowed it to cross, then they would not even come and face the review committee at all, because they are even in spite of the challenges, their voter ID card has been released to them. So I'm surprised that somebody like the secretary of the party will come and will not cross-check whatever information he has been fed with, and he will be sitting on television and be spewing this type of lies.
He points to the video in which you were seen in Banda.
There are two different videos completely. The first video was where the Evans were being prevented from moving from the landing beach to their registration site. And I was speaking on that video. This happened 3 days before this Ivorian registration. So they thought that if we succeeded in getting the Evans to register, then the only way they can balance is to go to Cote d'Ivoire and bring people to register.
Were you bashing Evans to register in that part?
We were not bashing Evans. We were insisting on the Evans right to register, because they are residents in the constituency. So if residents of a constituency are moving to a registration center, that does not fall within the definition of bashing as we know it in the electoral lexicon. Bashing in the electoral lexicon means that going to high buses and conveying people who are non-residents from another district to invade another district and get their names into the register only for the purpose of influencing the choice of parliamentary candidates.
But we saw you in the video with something that appears to be a bus behind you, and you were arguing with the military officers to allow you passage.
There was no bus behind me. There was a Kia truck behind me.
Yeah, there were people in it. Yes, full of people. Yes,
all fully loaded with people who are moving from a landing on the voter list to their registration.
But why must the General Secretary be conveying people in the track?
If you see people in buses behind me, it means that I am conveying them.
You didn't know these people?
We came to meet them. I went to the landing beach where the soldiers were involved in preventing people from coming to the registration center. And I went there and asked the commander, and he denied that the police have nothing to do with the registration process at all. It is they come in only when there is conflict. And I said, well, I have reports that you are preventing people from registering. And he denied. So I went to the land beach. Lo and behold, there were more than 2,000 people there. So I told them, I went there with UTV, TV3 in attendance. We asked them, they told their stories, and I told them that there is no human being in Ghana who can prevent the first resident in Banda from registering. So I am leaving to the registration center. They should come there and try to register, because the military who were preventing them, they themselves were, and the fact that they were involved. So they should come.
So you didn't organize this Kia truck full of people?
Come again.
The Kia truck full of people behind you, didn't organize them?
No. How would I organize people to go to their
So you're saying that you were there, though, arguing for them passage. You say you had nothing to do with that.
I had encouraged them to move to the registration center. Apparently, after I left the place, they got the next available vehicles, Kia, pickups, and other things, and motorking, the tricycle. So they all loaded themselves and they were heading to the nearest registration center. Whilst I was going back to the military commander to tell him that he told me lies in our first engagement, and that the people at the landing site are telling a different story. So by the time I reached there, they called me back and said that, well, some people from the landing side were moving to the registration center and they have been intercepted because the road has been blocked by the military. So we all write down, I called the media, everybody, we write down, that's how you got those photos. So the call I was making, I was calling the military commander that he lied to me in the morning when he said that the military was not involved in the registration and that he should come to the Bongasi area and he will see that the road has been blocked, preventing legitimate people from accessing the registration center to register. And that's how he came. And then when he came to see his own people blocking the road, there was no option but to clear the road for these people to go and register. It was 3 days after that registration had taken place that apparently MPP thought that they can only balance for that registration by going to Cote d'Ivoire to bring people. So the Cote d'Ivoire event happened when I was nowhere in that state at all. And they were arrested. Joe Dankwa was involved, Abonyo was involved, everybody was involved. So they are in trouble now. And then they are now coming to project the Cote d'Ivoire incident as if it is the Evans they were blocking from registration. They are two different.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Senegal, to the issue that civil society have talked about, I mean, it also, I mean, and I, of course, when it comes to elections, the concern is the video that was seen, the military men that had stopped you with the Kia truck behind you, all creates a certain perception and fuel suspicion. And civil society had always said that politicians like yourself...
Can you what suspicion you think is fueling?
No, but the suspicion that you had a hand in arranging these individuals in a Kia truck to go and register.
TV3 was there, UTV was there. They are capable of doing their own investigation rather than telling lies under the guise of suspicion. They should go and find out who arranged the vehicle.
But my substantive question though was the often repeated notice and caution from civil society that politicians should stay out clear of such acts that sort of then fuels the tension that we've seen. You simply should register rather than seem to be advocating for a group in the Kia or whatever it is to get to a polling station or registration center to register, which then fuels a certain tension which we've seen play out and sometimes has led to violence. You disagree?
You are saying such as which acts?
Acts such as we saw in that video, in which
that when you come and then you are on a fact-finding mission, that military were preventing people from registering, and then you get to a roadblock where the military was actually preventing the people, and you call people to come and remove the roadblock for legitimate people to go and register. Civil society says we should stay off.
But the military, Mr. Senator, was doing its legitimate duty. You disagree?
Of blocking people from accessing a registration center. But that is not the duty of the military. In which of our laws is it stated that the military should block roads when they see people in a bus or in a vehicle going to the nearest town, which is their registration center to register?
The defense minister points to an agreement that was signed in Banda that barred people, include all the parties, from being seen to be accompanying people in that number to registration centers. And that is what the military was enforcing there.
The thing you have, and I believe the defense minister also had, is that anybody who is seen in a vehicle and is the registration center is being bashed. That is your problem. But you should go and look at the laws of the country. When you are talking about bashing people,
what agreement did you sign in Banda though? And agree to the two sides?
Agreement. I'm surprised that the minister of defense, who is supposed to be advising the president on declaration of war, is implementing an agreement he himself has not seen and does not know about.
What I saw was the RECSEC. The RECSEC agreement between yourself and...
talking about, listen, the minister was specifically talking about a Banda district agreement.
Yes.
There is no such thing as Banda district agreement. The RECSEC actually met and signed an agreement to the effect that, one, Nobody should prevent legitimate people from going to register. The military should not interfere. They should use the laws of the country and the laws of elections at the registration center, which prevents darting of people, which prevents removing people from the queue when they are going to register. So what was he implementing?
They were implementing the bit you just mentioned about preventing people from being bassed.
And I'm saying that you understand what bassing means. Bassing was relating to people who have been bassed from Ashanti region outside Banda to Banda for registration because they are not residents. It doesn't relate to somebody who is moving from his place of residence within the constituency to another town where he has to register and within the same constituency. That cannot qualify as bassing.
Yeah, but you
do yourself a lot of good if you read the electoral laws of the country.
But Mr. Sodikita,
doesn't mean that when people are
I just want to draw your attention to a point. You see, what you just defined, you admit it's subject to interpretation. The military was enforcing what they believed to be a rightful instruction.
So, from the riverside, from the landing beach to Bongasi, which constituency were they passing themselves from?
I mean,
and if the military thought they were doing the right thing, why would they give in and allow those people to go and register after our insistence?
Yeah, Mr. Sodikita, thankfully your colleague and friend John Boydu just joined us. Please stay with me. Mr. Boydu, you have alleged at the press conference that the more than 60 people that we had seen the immigration arrest are people that John Sodikita has facilitated to register. What is the proof of this? I think we've lost him. We've lost Mr. Sodikita as well. Okay, let's try and get him, but let's try and get some closure on this. And as we've been speaking, the Electoral Commission had put out a statement the last 24 hours on this very contentious issue of the arrest of these Ivorians who were in possession of the voter ID card. I want to bring in Mr. John Boydu now. He's back on the telephone line. Mr. Boydu, can you hear me, Mr. Boydu?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes, you say at the press conference today that the 60-plus Ivorians who were found with Ghana ID cards were facilitated to register by John Sodikita. And my question to you is, what is the proof?
What I said was that we saw Asiedu Nketa, General Secretary of the NDC, leading people in a Kia bus or Kia truck, ostensibly pushing pressure on the police, the soldier. Later, he even said that the soldiers were drunk or something to go and register. Eventually, we got to know that there are another set of people in a Kia truck who got their tire bus. When they were accosted and investigated, about 66 of them are bearing not just Ivorian names, but they are Ivorians who have managed to sneak through the same process.
Yeah, and you said that was done with the Sodikita and the NDC.
It's obviously facilitated by NDC. No, but Ivorians who...
Yeah, but you say obviously... Forgive me, you say obviously...
I'm giving you the link. The link is that we saw Asiedu Nketa on video with a Kia bus leading a Kia truck like that. You understand? To push pressure on even having arguments with the security agencies and all that. Reasons you will understand. But we also saw and arrested close to 66 people who were non-Ghanaians and by our law are not qualified to register. They've managed to find their way to register their names in our register. And I think that is something that all of us as a people must be worried about.
Yeah, I mean, but that's forgive me, Mr. Bodhi, that's not my question. That's not what you said. You said those 60 plus had been registered by Asiedu Nketa and the NDC.
I think that I read a statement.
I'm sorry, I want to play it for the avoidance of doubt because
read a statement.
Because we have your voice. Just a second, just for clarity.
Exactly.
Are you backtracking though? Because your statement was clear.
I'm not backtracking.
So are you insisting that those 60 plus were indeed registered with the help of a student and NDC?
I'm insisting that those that you were leading were in the same track as those who were arrested in the same track, having managed to find their way to register.
Yeah, but what is the proof that those people in the Kia track were those same people that were arrested later?
I wouldn't be able. They may even be more than that. It is these ones that their time got bad. That's how we managed to get them. Other than that, they will have registered them first. It means that a lot more people may have found a way of getting their names in the register. That's why it is important that we all accept and follow what the Constitution provides. That if the person is not a citizen, the person is not of age, if the person is not an ordinary resident or a resident in a place, we don't put pressure on the system to get them registered. That's the point that I'm making.
Okay, I get the point. I get the substantive point you've made, but you've made an allegation against a person, and a reputation is on the line, which was said at the press conference against the person and the party. He says he did no such thing, and I'm asking for proof. You say what you're saying is pure conjecture, not evidence.
It's logical deduction. Logical deduction. Many people may also find their way through such a system.
Okay, Mr. Sedeketia has said that it's in fact the NDC that has filed a complaint at the Banda police station that NPP officials helped these Ivorians to get the voter ID cards.
And that is subject to investigation by the security agents. My worry really is about the fact that we as a people, if we are not able to put a stop in encouraging, particularly with my rounds, you realize that if you push an argument against people who ostensibly are not Ghanaians who want to register, that is, they are happy about it. Throughout my rounds. But I'm saying that until we are able to put strong hands with the support of everybody on it, and punitive action is taken against these people who knowingly are not qualified to register. Look at what Kita Circuit Court has done. Jailing people, Nigerians, Togolese, who are not expected to be part of our system. But over the years, we encourage them to be part of our system, get their way into our register. This is not an ECOWAS register that we are compiling.
But you could have made that point.
Yeah,
you could have made that point. I doubt if there will be many who would disagree with you. You could have made that point without calling names and accusing your opponents without evidence.
What shows that those people in that Kia track that he was leading were all Ghanaians as well?
Okay, Mr. Sedeketia, your colleague and friend is on the line. Mrs. Good, you've heard him. He says it's logical deduction.
Well, I'm surprised that somebody who is stating things as facts are now talking about logical deduction. I have a problem with his logic because any sane person look at the two videos. We'll first look at the registration numbers of those two tracks in the two different videos. One is a Ghanaian registered vehicle conveying people from the landing site along the shores of the voters, the Bui Lake, to Bongati, their registration center. The other is a foreign registered vehicle with Ivorian number. People who were videoed when they were trying to escape from the vehicle. And for the same person to be thinking that these are the two are the same, I have issues. So yes, I'm happy that you have pushed him to the wall and he's now backtracking. But that will not end the issue. The issue is that, before the registration, we intercepted a video recording of the Brown East Deputy Regional Minister giving instructions for his vigilante people, and included in the instructions, he said that they should even go and kill. And when they kill, the MPP should rush to do a press conference and put it on NDC. So it is precisely the same thing that Jombodu and his
I think that
after they have been arrested or they have been involved in this criminal activity, they think that their salvation lies in organizing a press conference and to get it on NDC. But sorry, the evidence is too overwhelming that there is nothing they can do about it. I'm sure if the Electoral Commission itself has known this fact, they will not even be permitting investigation because we know where they stand. So I'm urging the Electoral Commission, the Ghana Police Service, and the immigration and then including the press, to pursue this matter to its logical conclusion and be able to answer the following questions. How come that when borders are closed, you have an Ivorian vehicle driving through the border to Banda, carrying Ivorian with Ivorian ID card? And then, number two, how come that when these people were prevented from registering, the MPP regional executives and the parliamentary candidates will bring the same people back and insist on their registration, which was complied with by the Electoral Commission officials? Number three, how come that after they have been successfully challenged, the Electoral Commission officials, irrespective of the challenge, will release their voter ID cards for them to go back to Cote d'Ivoire? But for the insistence on the NDC for the impoundment of the vehicle at the border post, they would have gone back to Cote d'Ivoire with their numbers. How come that if NDC were organizing these people, NDC will call the press, UTV and TV3, to come and film those people who have gotten illegally registered? How come that if it is the General Secretary of NDC who had bagged them in, the same General Secretary will call his party agents to challenge all of them?
Yeah. Let me bring in. Let me bring in your friend and colleague, Mr. John. Mr. Brody, so the MPP definitely has concerns. I wonder if in all this you have filed any formal complaint with the police, because some of the things you allege today are criminal.
Before I get there, I think that this scenario is given about some regional officer saying what he said. It's the same thing that his chairman said on tape, that they are going to organize people, they are going to terrorize people, they are going to kidnap people and put it on the government, because it is the government that has a responsibility of maintaining peace. So I will not be surprised that what he's saying is just in the direction of what his national chairman has said, that he's still on trial for it. I believe strongly that we should get to a position in our country, which I think that this registration exercise, entirely new registration exercise, has proven to us that it is possible that we protect our borders. It is possible that we prevent people who are non-Ghanaians, who are not residents or other residents in where they want to register and vote, who are not 18 years, not to get onto our register. That's my main concern, and it is akin to a lot of the areas that is closer to the border, and you see the reduction was massive. That is exactly the point. As to the reporting to the police, that one will be dealt with by the internal system, by the party at the region, by the party at the constituency. There's no problem at all with that.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That is the MPP General Secretary John Boydu and the NDC General Secretary Johnson Asedu Nketia. Still ahead.
Well, bomb explosion hits La in Accra. 4 children recovering from injuries. We have details.
I'm here with Uko Adams. He is the parent